First, I'm gonna clap for you, because it's Friday. It's very late, and you're still there. So clap for yourself first. Okay, there are a couple of known faces in the room, and a couple that don't know me yet. So for the people that don't know me yet, I have 3 lives, and yes, my wife knows about it. My first life is I am a business angel, a professional business angel. So I help entrepreneurs succeed in their dreams. When I say that to my mother, she says, wow, my son is doing a fabulous job. The second thing is I am a professional teacher, an entrepreneurship teacher. And so I teach in several universities, and then together with a partner, I created the Virtuology Academy, which is an academy that is focused on teaching entrepreneurs and teaching people in the ecosystem of entrepreneurs. And then the last part of my life is I created 3 NGOs in Africa, one in Burkina Faso, one in Goma, and one in Madagascar, that supports entrepreneurship in those different areas and on different ways. And when they invited me, they asked me to answer this question: is funding your startup a bad idea? Well, when you're a business angel and that's your job, it's difficult to answer that question. It's like if you go to a restaurant owner and you ask him, is eating outside a bad idea? Of course not. Well, actually, it depends. I have this thing that should work. So that's me. You see, there is a size difference, and that's why I love this picture. It's exciting to start a startup. You have those first 90 days where you don't know whether you're going to go bankrupt or if you're going to be the next Zuckerberg. And a lot of them think that they're going to be the next Zuckerberg. Actually, it is not that easy. Because when you look at the research, you realize that 50% of the startups, at least the innovative startups, don't survive the first 3 years. So you're playing Russian roulette, except that you have 1 bullet every 2 holes. Yeah. Would you do something that silly? I have another information for you. This all comes out of research, you have to believe me. Is that the divorce rate among entrepreneurs is twice as high as the average population. And the suicide rate is 3 times as high. And now I'm gonna stop. Who wants to create this business one day? Oh, okay. Let's ask my question differently. Who has already created a business? Okay. And you're still okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I wasn't, I am now.
Okay, cool. So, yes, that thing continues moving. It's a little bit, we have a timer here. It's a little bit like my mother in the morning. She was horning in the driveway. You know, you have to get ready, I have to drive you to school. I only have 9 minutes left. So, most of the companies in the beginning go through a dip. It's called the Valley of Death. That's where the startups die. And if you're lucky, well, you can get over there, and it's only when you're out of that Valley of Death that you can start to go to a bank. Before that, you have to find solutions. And there are different solutions. You can use the 3 Fs or the 4 Fs, depends. Founders, family, friends, and fools. Or you can go to business angels, people like me, and there is another possibility. You can go for crowdfunding. And that's what I would like to talk about. Is a little bit, how is the crowdfunding? But before we start that, there is apparently a very complicated system where that slide will move and then a question will appear. And that question is, do you think that you need an investor? The question does appear, yes. No, that's the second question. Can you make it the first question? Yes. Is funding your startup a bad idea? Okay, 70% of the people think it's a good idea, and the others think it's a bad idea. Who thinks it's a good idea? Okay, why?
Because you have skin in the game.
Pardon?
You have skin in the game.
You have a skin in the game, okay. Another reason? Marketing, okay. Other reason?
Don't try, yes, with your own money.
Okay. In case you have to send me a dossier, don't, you know. Don't even bother. Okay. When people ask me, why would I have a business angel come in my company? I usually give three reasons. The first reason is gray hair. Usually when you have an investor, well, he has some experience, he has done it before, and he can help you. And you know what? It's always easier to know what you have to do in your friend's marriage than in your own marriage. You have experienced that? And that's why sometimes when you're an outsider, it is better and easier to have an opinion about what has to be done. That's the gray hair part. The second thing is money. I think, yes, and that is what you said, money can help, and money can help you overbridge that. And the last one is a network. But when we talk about crowdfunding, and then comes the second question, here we go. What are the positive effects of having crowdfunding in there? Because the gray hair you don't really have, because you don't have those people in your board, so you cannot enjoy it. What do you think, if you can start voting on this, I don't know if that works. Why do you think it's good to have crowdfunding? Yeah, the votes are coming in. A little more? Okay. Yes. Excellent. Okay. Yes. And that was one of the ladies that said it, the lady that is sitting there. Marketing, visibility helps, especially if you have a B2C business. Because those people that invest in your business will start to talk about it, and you will have a word of mouth effect if your product is not too bad. Second is the networks. And I think the networks there are a little undervaluated. Because, in fact, so you can change your vote. No, but that is always shitty with those things, because if that doesn't correspond to what you were planning to say, then you have a problem. So you can always say that the people didn't vote well. And I have 5 minutes left. So the networks is the second part. Yes, when you have 100 investors, it's super, because those people, you can reach to them, you can send them a mail, you can say, do you eventually know somebody at that client that I can call? And eventually some of those investors will still come with you. And then finally, credibility. I think when you stand in front of a client and you say, I have been through a crowdfunding round and I have been able to raise that much capital, well, it gives you, especially in the early days of your startup, a positive effect. The others we don't have to talk about, time to talk about. What would be the negative effects of crowdfunding? We're going to start voting. Can we start voting? Yes. Okay, let's start about overvaluation. I think for me that is by far the biggest risk. And let me put it that way. When you launch your first round of financing, when you go through crowdfunding, usually the people that invest in crowdfunding are not experts in investment. And so you can put the valuation quite high, and they still subscribe to it. And so far, so good. You got cheap money as an investor, as an entrepreneur. But the problem might take place in the next round. And I've had 3 dossiers like this where I was really interested to invest. It was a company, I will not name the company, it was a Belgian company. And based on a slide deck and a couple of products, the lady raised 800,000 euros. Sorry, no, she had a valuation of 800 and she raised 200. So 20% was in the crowd and the valuation post money, so after, was 1 million euros. And she started working. And after 9 months, those 200,000 were gone. And she came to me and she said, this is my thing and that is what I have achieved and so on. And I said, well, you know what? This is really good what you have done. And then I didn't know the story and the valuation in the beginning. And so I did the evaluation of the company and I came up to a post-money valuation, so post-money for her, at 500,000. And I said, okay, I'm willing to invest 150,000, but your valuation is 500,000. And she said, well, you know what? I would love to have you in my share capital, but I can't, because I cannot go back to the crowd and tell them that they supported me for 9 months, all the things I have achieved, and that a professional investor at that moment comes in with a valuation that is lower than the valuation that they did 9 months before. So be very careful. Even if you can raise the money, don't over-evaluate your company when you go in crowdfunding road. The second thing, and that is also a big problem that you can have, is you have all those people. Can we do a caricature? Yes, sir. So you're 65, you have nothing to do. Your wife complains about the fact that you're hanging around in the house the whole day, and you know the story. And so what you do is, I become an investor, and I will start with crowdfunding. So you invest a couple of €1,000, and then you start sending mails to the entrepreneur. And what about this? And what about that? And so on. And the entrepreneur, he does nothing else than answering those mails. And that is a real story that really happens. And that is very toxic, because the definition of an entrepreneur is that he has too much work to do and not enough time to do it. And so be careful for that type of investor, because that type of investor can really steal a lot of money of you. And you're right, the last one is also a downside, is confidentiality issues. Because normally, if you behave correctly towards your investors, you should share your strategic plan. And so, in fact, you put your strategic plan in the hands of 100 people. And those people, they love to talk about their investments, and they share that with a lot of other people, and you don't really control what is being said or not said. And then as an entrepreneur, you're there. Do I play a role towards my investors? Am I honest? Or on the contrary, do I keep information, which normally you shouldn't do, just because of confidentiality issues? So, in fact, it is not a black and white story. Yes, an investor can help you, and crowdfunding can be a really interesting formula, but not for every business. And we have seen a couple of, in those 15 minutes, usually my classes last an hour, so I'm not so stressed, I have a lot of time, but here I have to do it in 15 minutes, and I'm over time. So thank you very much, and it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do we have any questions at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
There's one there. Oh, wait, sorry, wait.
Yes, your microphone.
Hi, what do you think about if you crowdfund and you fail, a lot of startups fail, is that going to turn into like a big public disaster? So is that smart to crowdfund very early? Thank you.
It hurts your reputation, that's for sure. But then you have those conferences about failing forward, and you can always explain that you got a good lesson and that now the previous investors have paid your education, and that if you want to do a second round, people will have a better entrepreneur to invest in. I don't know, there's always a bullshit way to get out of it.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.